What's up, guys? Today's video is about building trust, which helps you build influence. And influence is a key factor in achieving big goals. If you want to leave an impact in the world, you're going to need to learn to influence others. Really, no matter what your goals are, you'll most likely need to learn to influence others in order to help them, in order to help them help you, in order to drive change on any sort of level, be it big or small. You're going to interact with people in order to achieve things. One of the critical elements in building and strengthening relationships and building influence is trust. I see this every day, that trust is this bond that's either built or not built between people that helps you move forward. It helps you make progress. And if progress is one of your goals, which I would hope that it is, you need to build trust. Without trust, you're going to struggle to do anything. In order to build trust, there's a couple simple things. And I'll talk about how you can lose trust, which is less understood. But really building trust comes from a couple key things. It's telling the truth and then acting in the way you say. So you say what you mean, and then you do what you mean. So telling the truth can have some difficulties with it. There can be risk, right? I started as a very blunt person. And over time, I learned to develop finesse. In fact, at one point, I was called a hammer, just because I told the truth very bluntly. And when you tell the truth to very strong personalities or people with strong egos, it bounces right off. It becomes very ineffective. And while this may help you build trust, it won't help you build any influence. And so I developed finesse over time. And a way to develop finesse is to ask questions, which helps people consider alternate versions. It opens people's minds. Instead of you making a statement, which people will view as true or false or right or wrong, it helps them to think and consider a different truth, because truth is really just your perspective. And what you want to do is ultimately always say what you mean, so that way you're never caught in some sort of bind of basically being dishonest and therefore losing trust. And you never want to act in a way that differs from what you say. This is one of the key things I think that gets lost a lot, is that the way that we act is a form of communication, right? Actions speak louder than words. It's a phrase that everybody's heard, but oftentimes I think we lose sight of that when we go through our day-to-day. And sometimes we'll act in ways that differ from the way that we've presented ourselves in the past or the way that we said things in the past. We demonstrate what's important by our actions. That's where I would place the most stress when trying to build trust, is making sure that your actions follow up with what you say, that you commit to the words that you speak or the words that you write. And over time, you can build a lot of trust, which increases your ability to influence. It increases the strength of your relationships, which allow you to move forward much more readily. One of the most underrated and misunderstood forms of communication is actions. It's behaviors. It's how we behave day to day, and how that either aligns with what we say and what we're trying to project into the world and the vision that we cast, which then ultimately leads to whether or not people want to be your friend, or people want to follow you, or people want to be in your circle. They want to network with you. And all of these things are key things for moving through and towards big and audacious goals, which I hope that you have. Again, one of the key things that I would say in order to address trust and to leverage trust or to build trust is to just always act in alignment. Always say what you mean. And this is fundamental in the truth. The truth is simple and clear. So whenever you're communicating, if it ends up cloudy, you run the risk of being viewed as dishonest. So these are two key risks that you could have relative to building trust, right? You could act in a way that kind of differs from the way that you present yourself, the way that you say things, differ from what you mean to do. And that is a key area that you'll lose trust in. People won't believe what you say anymore, and you'll lose a significant amount of influence. And you can also ultimately, through unclear communications, through cloudy communications, through not being able to present a simple and clear truth, you can lose trust there. Because ultimately people don't know if they can trust what you're saying. It's cloudy, it's not clear. I don't really know what you mean, and it feels like you're circling the truth. These are two key areas which I would say I'd be mindful of as you move forward. And then, like I said, one of the key things to develop, because as a blunt person, as a recovering blunt person, which sometimes I still am, is understanding when finesse is necessary in order to tell the truth. You can't just be forthright all the time, because unfortunately people have weakened over time, and people can't always just take the truth outright. So you need them to consider it, because unfortunately your truth is just your perspective, and someone else's truth could differ from yours. And going head on with these differing truths is typically a way that you can unfortunately lose trust, whether or not you're right or not. Truth isn't facts. Facts are truth. But we all have our own perception. We talked about that several times. And so understanding this, you can exert a little bit more energy, use a little bit more energy to understand that and not go head on with conflicting truths. So hopefully that helps. It's key communication tactics that I've learned over time that help me increase influence. It's helped me build stronger relationships. And ultimately, it's helped me achieve a lot of goals, which ultimately I think you're here because that's what you want to do. So I hope that helps. You can't lose if you don't quit.